Hey everybody, it's Jaywitz here from the Pokemon Trading Card Game Show Profit, and I know, as I'm sure some of you are going to notice, there was not a card of the day for this Saturday, and that's mostly my fault, but also, mostly this is fault. Me and Renae were hanging out, and we decided to unearth my childhood by just looking through all my old stuff in the basement, and we uncovered basically my entire Pokemon well, not my entire, but a lot of my Pokemon collection of toys and stuff, and I thought it'd be very interesting to look back on this, considering that this was a huge part of my childhood, especially around like 1998 through 2001, and to think that I am still extremely actively involved with it 10 to 11 years later, I think is really huge. This is extremely nostalgic for me. It's a big deal, so I just thought we'd check it out. Maybe you'll enjoy it, maybe you won't, but this is how Pokemon was for me a good 10 to 12 years ago. So, starting here, we've got a collection of Tomy toys, and these ones in the corner here were ones that you would collect. These were actually some of my favorites, especially most of the kids that got them really liked them because they were, as you can tell, some of the highest quality figurines that were available at the time. Like this Raichu, you know, he's got an adjustable tail. They look nice. They came in pretty nice colors, and they came with this thing, which was really strange. It's called the Bat Poke. I don't know, it's like Poke Battle, except it doesn't battle Pokemon, it just knocks them over. For example, this poor Poliwag here is going to be my victim. Boom! So, I mean, this thing is a wrecking ball for Pokemon. It's also a Master Ball for some reason. It's got the M on it. So, really strange. But, there was a whole lot of stuff that these came with. They also came with little chips on here. I actually was just told about these from Renae. Like, they worked like Pogos? Is that what they were called?
Pogs.
Pogs. Okay. They worked like Pogs. You're supposed to, like, put one down, another one down, and flip them or something. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm, like, screwing it up. Okay. Just forget that I'm messing with those. But they came with, like, a chip game that you're supposed to play. You're supposed to knock Pokemon down. Like, obviously, I didn't follow the rules. People just want to collect these figurines. They're some of the nicest looking ones. And so, that's why I found these were interesting. I had one, came with two pretty cute Pikachus and a Raichu. For some reason, I got like 2.5 sets of Poliwag and Poliwhirl. I thought he was an interesting Pokemon, but I've got that. We've got just one Articuno. The Zapdos and Moltres have been lost over the years, unfortunately. With the Victoryville trio. And that's it for those. I just thought they're really interesting. I want to find it. If I do find it, I'll give you guys an annotation or a link to it. I think there's a really funny commercial with these toys in particular. There's some joke about like hitting Pokemon with your balls or something like that. I'll find it if I recall correctly, because it was really funny. Here we've got a big collection of, and these are not even collectibles. This is really just garbage. But for those of you guys who ate Lunchables as a kid, or are possibly still eating them, if those are still a well-marketed way for you to eat your lunches at school, I've got Pokemon Lunchables cards. Now, I cut these out of my Lunchables. I mean, you're supposed to collect them. On the backs they have information. We've got like Kangaskhan here. We've got Staryu, Onix. I mean, just a bunch of Pokemon. But this just shows how dedicated I was. I cut my cardboard out of my, you know, disposable lunches because they were that important. And I have somehow preserved them for a dozen years. So, there's that. Here's something that's really interesting, and I actually think that these are very nice and probably not even talked about. These are Pokemon marbles. I remember getting them on a rainy day. I forgot what was supposed to happen. I was supposed to go, like, golfing or hitting at the batting cages or something, but because it was raining, we just stopped at a store and got some of these. Now, I'm going to get close with these. We got, like, Kakuna. They're marbles, by the way. Rapidash.
See if it'll focus. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to focus. Now it is. Definitely more than it was. Doduo. Nidoran. Trying to get it to focus. Hopefully you guys can see these well. But basically, I have a ton of these. This one's probably the only popular Pokemon that I've got. Vaporeon. I know there's a lot of Eevee fans out there. But I have a ton of these marbles. Some came in this nice set here. Some of them I've got in this cool marble bag, which I used for dice for a while. It's nice purple. It's got Executor on it for some reason. But I think that these are the nicest things that I've still got. They're in great condition. They're cool to carry around. I'm sure they're collectible. My plan is to bring them to Worlds, and maybe someone will find value out of them. Maybe I'll be able to trade them for something. But if you guys are interested, I don't know, let me know, I guess. I think that they're really cool. I know there's plenty of marble-based games to play. I played a few as a kid, but I can't think of any cool ones to tell you right now. But Pokemon marbles. Coming up next, okay. I swear I was a normal child, but I really liked Jigglypuff. By far, the most prevalent Pokemon in the collection. We've got this Jigglypuff, which, just opens in half. I have no idea. Maybe there was candy in it. It's a keychain, and it just opens in half. Actually, I think you're supposed to put your pencil on it? I have no idea what that Jigglypuff does. This one opens, used to be a tape dispenser, but now it's just the blade that you would cut the tape off of. So, probably the most lethal toy I have, I guess, most dangerous. We've got a squishy Jigglypuff keychain, Jigglypuff eraser, and I had problems. I took a blue pen and tried coloring its eyes in because I thought it was strange that it was all just one solid color. So there's that. This is actually another one of those Tomy toys, the Jigglypuff, and that also led me to show you guys the Wigglytuffs because this is just weird. One's Tomy, and one of them is, straight up Nintendo. This is like Conch Group or Korik Group. I can't really read it. But, okay, we got two Wigglytuffs, and this one is the Tomy toy, but they're completely different. This one's got the white spot, and this one doesn't. And I have seen artwork with both, but most of them have this white spot on the bottom. Green eyes, blue eyes, dark ears, no dark ears, much lighter. So, really strange. Don't really have two toys, and they're almost the exact same size and very similar models. They just look completely different. So, the most difference that you'll see from my toys from two different specific Pokemon, but this always baffled me as a kid. I always wondered, like, which one's Jigglypuff or Wigglytuff supposed to look like? This one looked more like the Jungle card that I owned, and it was also really competitive. The one would do the wave. So I always considered this to be the more accepted Wigglytuff, but if you look at the anime, most of them look like this with that big white spot on the bottom, so completely weird. So moving past my strange Jigglypuff obsession, we've got the rest of the Burger King toys, and I used to have so many more of these, but here's a few. This is Poliwag. He squirted water. We've got Mewtwo. This one was really elusive. His eyes used to light up. Unfortunately, this one's broken, but Mewtwo and Mew came in special balls, so they were like a really big deal. These Burger King toys actually were about as big as Pokemon cards or even the Pokemon video game. It was a big deal. I remember riding on the bus down to school or away from school. People would kind of sit around. They'd try and trade their toys. Mewtwo, I traded one of my Mewtwo's for like 7 toys to somebody else. I felt really bad about it, but the kid actually, he felt bad. He felt like he ripped me off by giving me 7 of his toys for my Mewtwo. So, you know, I guess different people perceive it differently. Maybe he didn't know I had extra Mewtwo's or what, but I was happy to get away with that exchange. But these toys, people trade on the bus, people talked about it like, oh, this kid's got this and that one. There were, and you know, I don't have the number for how many Burger King toys there were, but there had to have been at least 70 or 80. Lots of different kinds. Some were plushes, some were tops, which we're about to get to, but those are the regular kind I got. This one, for some reason, I want to say that this specific Burger King toy was part of the second series. Maybe it wasn't, but I just don't remember this in the original one. These were like Pokemon racers. You press the button and off goes Lapras. And we've also got one for Slowpoke. So those are exciting. Now I do got one last toy, which I will get to at the end because this is a big deal. But stay tuned for the end because I think that this is a very special treat. I got a few of the Burger King ones that you would use for the Burger King toys. These were illegal pretty shortly after they were released because due to not very smart design, a baby could suffocate on one half very easily. Now, I want to say it led to 1 or 2 fatalities, which is really unfortunate, but it also makes these harder to find. I mean, I know that there's hundreds of them made, but here it is for those of you guys wondering what the original Pokeball capsules for those looked like. What's the phone?
This Mew.
Okay. Here we've got this hilarious Mew. Look how small and scrunched this thing is. I don't know what happened. Maybe they didn't remember what Mew looked like. Maybe this is supposed to be a chibi Mew or whatever, but... Whee! You know, try and rev it across the table, but I always thought that this thing was ridiculous. That's my idiot Mew. This I thought was really cool. I've actually got the Mewtwo one in my room somewhere. This one's in horrible condition now. It was a clear ball, but there was a Pikachu inside of it. So you could see him roll him around as he rolled it. I mean, it's a bouncy ball too, so that's exciting. But I remember when I first got this, I thought it was just so brag-worthy because, look, floating Pikachu. Moving on, and I've only got 3 of these. We had a Clefairy that I messed with Renae earlier, but these are rolling stamps. Now, the bottoms of these are inked. Actually, I don't even know if the ink works on... Oh, well, it does work. So, we're going to try a piece of paper. We've got this card box here, and I'll use it. There you can see the Clefairy one that I used. And you roll it, and it basically makes an animation with just a couple of different illustrations for the Pokemon that you rolled below it. I'm going to try this Chansey one on here. Now, it's going to be hard for me to show you rolling it. I don't even know how much... Oh no. It's good. Check it out. We got a couple of different kinds of Chanseys there. He's running, falling over, stuff like that. So these were really cool, too. And I'm completely surprised that these still have ink. I've lost the thing that's supposed to preserve them, so... you know, 10, 12 years later, still can create the same stamps with these. Another thing that was a really big part of my childhood, and probably a lot of you guys who are around my age that played Pokemon or were interested in Pokemon, is custom Pokemon cards. Now this is a horrible card. I have much better ones, but this one I just wanted to show because it depicts a lot of things that I did with my original cards. First off was I would try and mix my cards with other series of video games and TV shows and stuff. In particular, this is just an Oddish. I probably drew him because he was an easy to draw Pokemon at the time. But this Oddish, and you probably can't read this even with the focus just because it's horrible handwriting as is, but this Oddish evolves from Yoshi. So I thought that was a great tie-in, I guess. What I think is interesting is that this is a dual-type card way before Pokemon even introduced that mechanic. He's water and grass, just to show how dumb I was as a kid. I made him part water just because Oddish is blue and green. So, nothing about Oddish even has to do with water. Another thing I liked to do, especially with the later cards, is when I discovered the symbol for infinity, you know, the sideways 8, and learned that infinity meant, you know, the biggest ever. It's unrepresented as, just, you know, infinite. I, decided that I wanted to make all my Pokemon cards the best cards. So appropriately, Oddish has infinity times infinity times infinity times infinity times infinity HP. Because, you know, infinity times infinity is so cool. Also, one thing I love is that he's got like 5 attacks and all of them do infinity. So I guess it's just pick your poison, really, for your opponent. We've got Razor Leaf, R-A-Z-E-R, Leaf, Drink. This attack's great. Oddish can't die. So he can't die, and it also does infinity, so I don't even know why you would do Razor Leaf. Kick. Discard everything attached to that Pokemon. Wow, so you're really just kicking them when they're down. And then there's Leaf-a-Ring. I actually spelled all that right. Of course, infinity again, so Leaf-a-Ring and Razor Leaf, same attack. And then Absorb. Take infinity HP and give it to Oddish. Another thing I like to do, and you can't tell in here, is I used to think this was, you know, right before I started really getting into the card game, I put extra stars at the bottom of cards because I thought that that meant that it was a big deal. I didn't know what retreat cost meant. I just, you know, we knew that stars were rare. We knew that stars at the bottom of a card was a big deal. So I was like, oh, I just better get as many stars in at the bottom as I can. So actually, this is the world's heaviest Oddish, and he will never retreat in his life. I guess it doesn't matter because once he's up, you're doing infinity, and Oddish can't die. But anyways, one of my custom cards. I had so many better ones. Maybe I'll revisit these another time. Another interesting thing. We got a few things from the trading card game here. These are how the very first damage counters that you ever got looked. They were really nice. They were kind of like they were marbles, but they were rounded on one side and flat on the other. So, you know, they kind of stuck to a card as you slide it under. I thought they were really nice. I've got a bag of sealed ones somewhere in my room. I don't know if I want to hold on to them or trade them or what, but these are very nostalgic for me. My first Pokemon games did not involve dice. We weren't that smart yet. Just playing the game, you wanted to load things up with these awesome glass damage counters. We've also got a few original Pokemon coins, and actually, it's unfortunate that these are the only ones that have survived, because I got every single theme deck as a kid. Those are my favorites because they came with the most cards for the least money. And when you don't know anything about the card game, you just want as many cards as you can get. We've got this Meowth coin. Don't know where this one came from. It either came from a Giovanni deck or maybe, I mean, the Meowth makes me think of the Game Boy game, but I don't think it came from that. That one focused. Thank you, Renae. And we've also got the Chansey coin, which I know some people have actually used today because it's good luck. Chansey's a luck Pokemon. It's not exactly legal to play an old coin. If it's before Ruby and Sapphire, you have to ask your opponent if they are okay with you playing an older coin, but still cooler to have. And another Chansey. If I ever find my stash of these, I'll show you guys, because I must have over a dozen of them. Definitely weird. They're also made of more of a papery texture than the new coins, so they are worse quality. As you can tell, this Chansey is starting to tear at the corner there. So, interesting. They actually do have a cooler, glossy, holographic pattern, so some ways better, some ways worse. This is interesting. This is something I got from my library. This was a Pokemon Stadium bookmark. Now, for any of you guys who were around when Pokemon Stadium first came out, that game was a big deal. I literally made 5 friends the day that I announced to people I pre-released Pokemon Stadium. Also, I think the first game I ever got on pre-release, which was a big deal, I guess. It was like, oh, he's already got the game. He gets it the day it comes out. But, my library held a little promotion of Pokemon Stadium bookmarks. That's kind of weird if you think about it. You're being advertised to as children. You know, some people might have bought the Pokemon Stadium game just because they got these bookmarks. I'm sure the library just gave them out for free, but it is interesting. It's still advertising. And to be honest, these are really effective. I'm pretty sure you got one of these bookmarks every time that you read a completed book and wrote a little report about it. And let's face it, you want to collect Pokemon stuff, you want to get that bookmark, it'll force you to read. You couldn't fudge the reports either. They could tell if you did, and some people tried, were not successful. Unfortunately, I remember reading a lot of books to get these. I only escaped with Pikachu. So, at least I've still got one to hold for it and the story. This is my collection of Pokemon tops, and there are 2 kinds. The first kind has the kind of crappy plastic bottom, and these came from a cereal box. You collected them that way. I've got Jigglypuff, of course, here. I know it's weird.
You've always liked pink Pokemon?
I guess I've always liked pink Pokemon. That extends to Hoppip, Ditto, the Evolution Wigglytuff, Chansey. We got the cereal kind. I've got Jigglypuff, Meryl, Pikachu. I think there's one more. Poliwag. That might have been all of them. These ones were not as good, but they still work pretty well. And I'll show you one of them in test run. Here's how it goes. You take the edge here, it's kind of twisted, and you rev it against the floor, and that picks up momentum, and then you drop it, and they'll spin. So, for example, And off goes Poliwag. Now, obviously, this one's not going to last that well. It's actually doing pretty well, considering these ones are made entirely from plastic. But, okay, extremely well. It's still going. You could watch it go forever. But, these are the cereal ones. Not quite as cool as the Burger King ones, but just thought I'd show you them. Here are the Burger King ones. Now, these ones were nicer because they had a really cool rubber bottom. Now, I guess being a higher quality, it helps them spin more. It doesn't lose traction to the ground. You can tell with these, I actually put a lot of use into them. There's a brown stain on one of my chances. Just, you know, you want to use them outside. You're scraping them against the sidewalk. Actually, almost all of these have some kind of abuse, which shows I really love them, but also makes them of zero value, just nostalgic. So, you know, these ones go way better. This Chansey, actually it's next to ridges, so it could tip, but that Chansey could spin for a long, long time. But, lastly, I want to show you Magnemite. Magnemite is not only one of my favorite Pokemon, but this one's special to me because I discovered something very cool about it. Also cool is that these magnets were rotatable. I thought that was cool because they didn't have to add that. But see this screw on Magnemite's head? You can actually get him to spin and breakdance like that. Now, we'll get him going. Upside down. Breakdancing Magnemite. I thought I was the smartest person in the world as a kid when I figured out that you could do that. Some people thought they were smart when they figured out that Diglett could spin on his head. But I thought that Magnemite's tiny screw compared to the surface area of, you know, the circular part, that working upside down, I thought just defied gravity. So, anyways, here are my tops. I got a lot of them. They're in horrible condition, but I loved them. They were a lot of fun. Lastly, before I get to the final toy, is a lot of paper stuff. Now, a lot of this is more trading card game related, and this is when I was really starting to get interested in the game. As I said, I opened a lot of theme decks. We have a ton, and I mean a ton, of rule books. One of these is the original rule book. Most of these are like Advanced Rulebook version 3, Advanced Rulebook version 2, Advanced Rulebook version 3, version 3. So I think version 3s were part of the Gym Heroes sets, because that's when I was collecting the most and getting most into the game. This one, bang, original rulebook. I actually think it's really useful. If you read it, you wouldn't be too misled as far as how the rules work today. I mean, yeah, there are a few big changes, but I thought it was cool. You open it up, you run a whole dialogue with Professor Oak. The only thing I thought was terrible is these back sections gave you a little bit of insight on how to change your theme decks to make them a little bit better. But what they didn't understand is that their theme decks were horrible. So improving a theme deck is, I don't know, basically putting jewels on mud. It's just not helping. They're telling me to remove 2 Vulpix and 1 Ninetales. Why would I take that out of my Brushfire deck? Ninetales was a great card. 1 energy removal, 1 switch, and 1 last, and I'm adding 2 Magmar, 1 Charizard, 1 Gust of Wind, 1 Plus Power, and 1 Pokemon Trader. So, basically, they've made me remove my most consistent line, which is the Stage 1 Ninetales, which is actually decent, and adding in the Charizard, which is a lot harder to work out. Anyways, they didn't know what they were doing. This was just a game intended for kids, but still pretty cool. There's a big glossary at the end. It's really interesting to see how the game's changed, but also how a lot of it has stayed the same. Now, this right here is the official Pokemon Trading Card Game League badge book. Now, this was actually, I lost my badge book near the end, and I picked up a new one pretty much the day before I never went back to League, so this one's completely not filled out. It's got your name, your league number, your store name, and your favorite Pokemon. I haven't even filled this out yet. But, basically, it works how leagues do today. You'd fill out a card, and so, you know, still a dozen years later, you're doing the same thing. You're filling out a card, except at the end, you'd get a badge. Now, badges were scrapped maybe 2 years ago, but they were cool. They were, like, metal and plastic pins that you could put on your shirt. They're like real badges, like the kind Ash has. There were also the back here. I guess I was trying to work toward a Meowth promo card. I don't remember what kind of Meowth it was, but I guess I never got it. But it's interesting. Leagues work the same way as they used to, even when Wizards of the Coast was running the game. And they're actually the way I was introduced into the competitive game. So I still highly recommend you check out Leagues if you haven't yet and are just looking to get into the game. It's the best way to meet new people, learn how some of the better decks are playing, and it's probably the most friendly atmosphere as far as just playing the Pokemon trading card game, understanding how it works. Speaking of Leagues, this thing I thought was really cool. This is a full playmat, top and bottom. Boom! That I got at my league. This thing's in horrible condition. It's basically paper now, but look at the back. This was from my league in Toys R Us. Now, I don't know if that's the only place you could have a league at the time, but as far as I knew, it was the only league I knew about. Just interesting. That's the way they affiliated themselves. Hey, trainer, the journey starts here. Are you ready to start your Pokemon journey? And they try to make it really exciting. As a kid, you know, seeing a big thing here, you got Ash, you got all the cities, you got this big playmat. Going to Toys R Us and getting free stuff like that was probably the most exciting thing you could ever know. I thought it was really cool. I'm glad this still is preserved. I could still play a game on it or laminate it if I wanted to. But that's really nostalgic. Last here, I've got Pojo's Pokemon Magazine. This was a big deal to me because this was really my first outlet into the competitive trading card game. And while not all the advice on here was perfect, a lot of it was still really good. Now this is old. This article here is like about the fossil set that just came out and how that's going to affect the metagame. So that's really, really old. Just coming into our third set. Now there's a lot about Pojo I could talk about. I could probably make a whole video on it. I mean, technically their website's still running, doing card of the days every now and then. Pojo is basically nothing compared to what it used to be. It used to be the only place to get competitive knowledge. But it's kind of cool to see the precursor to all these cool internet forums that we have now, like Poke Beach, Six Prizes, Poke Gym. All that stuff started here. Now, at the back, my favorite thing was they would show a list of all the Pokemon cards that were out at the time. This is everything up through Fossil. And they would rate them with little electrode heads. The amount of heads show how good a card was, and they were normally pretty accurate. Now, I remember going through things and thinking like, oh, why is the card that I like a lot, which is like Magneton at the time, why does Magneton have such a bad rating, but Hitmonchan has almost a full electrode rating? Why is that? I eventually learned what Haymaker was, what good decks were, and it helped me tremendously. Now, last but not least, I know a lot of you guys are like, what is so special about this green toy? This was so wonderfully ironic. This was from the Burger King's second run of Pokemon toys. They came out when the Gold and Silver just came out. And they came out as little Game Boy Colors. Now on the back there's a little thing that came out with the Pokemon. This one's Cleffa, so kind of an interesting Pokemon as far as interest in the trading card game goes. Now the way it would work is you'd put a little cartridge in the back to get your Game Boy to work. In this case it's a Poliwrath cartridge, even though it has nothing to do with it. And then I'd get a little game to play. And without it you can't even play the game. Now this game is a boring game, but I think that it is very significant because, check it out. I have the Burger King Hoppip toy. It is the only Burger King one of these Game Boys that I still have. I've even still got a bunch of the Game Boy cartridges. Here's a Ledybot and a Drowsy. I don't know where the other Game Boys are. The only one that I've been able to uncover is none other than Hoppip himself. I think that's extremely cool. It's very ironic that this is the only one that lasted because Hoppip's become the mascot of my show. And 12 years later, I am still playing with Pokemon every single day. Obviously not with the toys, now it's mostly with the cards, but it's really cool. This series has captivated me for a long time. I'm sure it has for you guys too. I think it's going to be here to stay. And it's just really cool to look back. Basically, from my entire childhood, and now I'm moving into my adulthood. Pokemon's still strong. There are about 500 more Pokemon than there were when I was a kid, and I still love it. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's random, but I also think it's a lot of fun, and Hope you guys thought it was cool too. Maybe you guys got cool Pokemon toys or stuff that you got left over, and I'd love to see your videos too. So give me a video, and I'd be happy to put it in the video responses section below. Until then, thanks for watching Profit, and I'll see you guys at the card of the day later today. Peace.
Shh. It's an evil Rattata. Why is his eye red?